But the IBS part is really what I want to talk about because it's something that I've heard so much from people with IBS, that eating a vegan diet made their symptoms worse.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you.
Hey everyone, it's good to see you again. If we haven't met before then, hi, I'm GojiMan. I'm a qualified nutritionist and soon to be PhD student. I do vegan health and nutrition videos as often as I can, in which I answer your health questions under the hashtag AskGojiMan. So if you have a question for me, then hashtag AskGojiMan in the comments below, or alternatively send your video questions through to contact@GojiManNutrition.com. As always, just a quick reminder that I'm now offering the SIBO, organic acid, stool tests and consults via my website. So if you have any health or digestive problems, then consider taking these tests, as they will provide a lot of very detailed information upon which you can start making informed decisions and then start getting your health back on track. And on that bombshell, to the video.
So as I've said numerous times in the last couple weeks on this channel, saying that I don't like to respond to why I'm no longer vegan videos, and yet I keep responding to why I'm no longer vegan. Look, usually I don't respond to those videos because I think it just comes across as really nitpicky. Often the claims are really vague. It's I don't even know, how do you even respond to a lot of the stuff, that people are saying? And the reality is that people can still eat animal products and make a big difference. Even cutting your animal product consumption in half makes a huge difference.
So this is something I absolutely agree with. So if the world went plant-based 50% or 80% of the time, then this is a lot better for the animals and the environment than a 1% rise in veganism every few years. Yes, we would all like everyone to be 100% vegan 100% of the time, but in reality, this isn't going to happen anytime soon. So I absolutely agree with Unnatural Vegan here.
Honestly, I think the bigger problem is the way in which many vegans respond to these stories. If you look at any of these videos and you look at the comments, there are people saying, oh, well, you were never really vegan in the first place. If they were, then they never would have given it up. I think that's incredibly unfair. Look, I get that there are lots of ex-vegan accounts where while the people were vegan, they were eating really restrictively, eating raw till 4 or constantly juicing or something like that, or not supplementing. But that's not all of them. There are cases like Christy's where someone has some sort of disorder or allergy that makes eating a vegan diet very difficult, if not impossible.
Try eating a plant-based diet without any soy, any grains. The only veggie you can have is pumpkin, kale, and that's it. You can't tolerate any fruit unless it's early in the morning and blended. You also can't have any protein source, so legumes, beans, chickpeas, anything like that. You also went 5 years of your life going through anorexia nervosa.
Christy has both IBS and a soy allergy, so her options on a vegan diet are incredibly limited. Honestly, just a soy allergy alone would be bad enough. I really can't imagine being vegan without soy milk, mock meats.
So again, I largely agree with what Unnatural Vegan is saying here. There are absolutely people with health problems and digestive problems that make it very difficult for them to maintain a vegan diet. The problem I have with what she is saying is that she is saying if a person has IBS or another condition, then it's just unfortunate and there is probably little a person can do, and they may have to incorporate animal products into their diets. The reason I have an issue with this mindset is there are lots of conditions that drive IBS and food sensitivities, and if you resolve these issues at the root cause, then very often you can resolve the IBS or those food intolerances. For example, we know that depending on the studies, anywhere from 60 to 80% of those suffering with IBS have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth as the driving factor for their IBS. Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO, is essentially where you have bacteria in the small intestines where it shouldn't reside, and when you eat carbs and fibre, the bacteria in the small intestines will ferment this food, causing all of these IBS type issues such as gas and bloating. So there is SIBO and numerous other conditions in the gut that will drive and cause these IBS type of issues. And this is such an interest area for me, and it's what my PhD will be focused around when I start in a few months. But my main point here is that if a person has IBS type problems and they have SIBO or similar conditions that is driving their digestive problems, then it is very common for these people to resolve their issues and maintain a healthy, balanced vegan diet. Now, coming back to my issue with what Unnatural Vegan is saying, is that if a person has IBS, then this will mean that they are stuck between a rock and a hard place, and they will probably struggle to remain vegan. Now, I have no idea if Christy Swadling investigated whether she had SIBO or other similar issues that were driving her gut issues, but I will assume that she hasn't. And this is absolutely not a criticism of her or Unnatural Vegan. My criticism of Unnatural Vegan is that she is talking about IBS and health issues where she has no training around these.
But the IBS part is really what I want to talk about, because it's something that I've heard so much from people with IBS, that eating a vegan diet made their symptoms worse. Of course, that isn't always the case. There are people who say that their symptoms were actually reduced or even eliminated after going on a vegan diet, which is part of the problem. Not a lot is known about IBS. The cause is unknown. There is no cure. You can manage it by figuring out your trigger foods and avoiding them, but unfortunately, everyone's trigger foods are different.
Again, I have an issue with these types of comments. Many people can absolutely resolve their IBS. You just need to find the driving cause, of which there are many. So for example, recently I did a case study on my channel with Ozita Rowlands, who was in a very similar situation to Christy Swadling. We did some testing on her and she tested positive for SIBO. We treated her for SIBO and her digestive problems have gone away. So while I will absolutely concede to Unnatural Vegan that there will be those with health conditions that will struggle to maintain a vegan diet, those people are probably in the minority.
Some find that a high fiber diet helps, some find it to be incredibly aggravating. Some people find that it is specifically insoluble fiber that is the problem. Some people find that it's soluble fiber that's the issue. The problem, especially for people who are trying to eat a vegan diet, is that most plant foods have both insoluble and soluble fiber. So while legumes and seeds are good sources of soluble fiber, they also top the list for insoluble cellulose, along with root vegetables, brands, and plants in the cabbage family. Therefore, increasing dietary soluble fiber also may increase intake of insoluble fiber, which, although it helps with constipation, could mechanically trigger IBS symptoms. Another problem for IBS sufferers is fermentation by bacteria in the colon. Unfortunately, soluble fiber is more prone to fermentation than insoluble fiber, which may explain why some people find soluble fiber worsens their condition. This connection between fermentation and IBS has actually led to a relatively new way to treat IBS. You've probably heard of it. It's called a FODMAPs diet, or a diet low in FODMAPs. The International Foundation for Gastrointestinal Disorders has a really helpful list of foods that are high in fructose, lactose, fructans, etc. However, they also note that all of these products were sampled from foods in Australia, and that FODMAP levels may differ in foods from other countries.
So broadly speaking, what Unnatural Vegan is saying is true. The issue with her statements, though, is that she is placing the sole cause of IBS on fiber and or bacterial issues, and for some people this may be true. But the issue here is that there are lots of drivers for IBS type symptoms: stomach acidity problems, pancreatic enzyme issues, bile production issues, bacterial problems, gut infections, ileocecal valve problems, the list goes on and on. The problem is that everyone's IBS drivers are different. And the problem with blanketing IBS generally in the way that she is doing it is that you are avoiding looking into the causes of what's driving the individual person's symptoms. And this is a similar problem in modern medicine today. For example, here in the UK, the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, the organisation that gives the NHS its health guidelines, has recently published a number of papers on IBS and SIBO. Essentially, here in the UK, there are approximately 11 million IBS sufferers, and of those 11 million people, approximately 5 to 6 million have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth as a driving factor of their IBS. So in many of these 11 million people, a short course of antibiotics or natural antibacterials will see their problems dramatically improve or even resolve. So again, my issues with Unnatural Vegan's comments when she says we don't know the causes of IBS, I have issues because this is simply not true. So science has established many causational factors. It's just failings in modern medicine, a lack of knowledge, and other similar issues that are seeing many people live with IBS unnecessarily.
But really, my main goal with this video was to show that expecting people with IBS or with an allergy or with a combination of the two, expecting these people to be able to easily eat a vegan diet, to be able to automatically manage their symptoms, it's just shitty.
So I don't think anybody is expecting people to suffer unnecessarily on a vegan diet. As a vegan nutritionist, I do speak to vegans with serious health problems who have to incorporate animal products. But these people tend to be very isolated cases, such as people with advanced Crohn's or colitis, for example. So many vegans with IBS type issues do not have to incorporate animal products or follow restricted FODMAP type diets. They simply need to investigate if they have known established drivers for their symptoms, and if they do, they need to work on fixing these problems. So this video is really not a dig towards Unnatural Vegan, because I do like a lot of her content, but I think she needs to be really careful around some of her messaging. So that's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, remember to look after your body, because it's the only place you have to live. And I'll see you next time.